Hey guys, and welcome to another video edition for our midweek lesson. This week we're going to continue our series as we're looking at the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 5. And in this particular section of the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus hits the whole concept of marriage and God's expectations of marriage. Now I know for some that will be hearing this message, it's not a message about marriage. But more importantly, one of the things that we're going to emphasize is what God believes about honor, integrity, and the words that come from our mouth. But we're going to use God's understanding of marriage as our backdrop. What do I mean by that? God's original intent in marriage, what he meant by it, and the bond that happens in marriage, the whole concept of honoring our words, our commitment, and our speech speaks volumes about the heart and mindset of God. So, family group leaders, when you're leading this discussion, understand that that's the concept that we're bringing forward, that we're going to examine God's heart in marriage, what God expected from those two that committed themselves to one another, and what that says about God. It speaks volumes about what God's expectations are just when we look at honor, integrity, and the words that come from our mouth. This is a powerful lesson. In this particular lesson, one of the things that we dive into as we look at Matthew chapter 19 is that Jesus gets confronted by some of the local scholars on what position do you take on marriage and divorce. You see, during that time, there were two extremes. The extreme of Shammai and the extreme of Hillel, these two schools. Shammai took a very, very stringent and conservative approach to God's command on marriage. They said, bottom line, you need to be married. And there's only one reason to not be married or gain a divorce, and that's unfaithfulness. Well, Hillel took a very different approach, a very liberal approach in his understanding of God's expectation on the concept of being faithful in marriage. Hillel said, well, if a wife is unfaithful at cooking a dish or something like that, then the man has a right to divorce. And they came to Jesus to find out, well, Jesus, what side do you venture on? And in this concept, Jesus comes back and says, let me help you out. In the beginning, it was not like this. God expected that when two came together, that they were together for a lifetime. That commitment meant something. God had expectations with regards to honoring our words and our commitment. You see, this says a lot about who we need to be as Christians. And in this particular midweek lesson, I don't want you to spend your hours going, well, let's talk about marriage and this and that. No, let's use marriage as the backdrop of God's expectations with regards to honor, commitment, and the words that come out of our mouth. You see, God has high expectations for each of us as disciples. And family group leaders, I really want to hold you up for the phenomenal job you're doing in preaching and teaching each week. Use this opportunity, continue in that same vein, giving God the honor and laying forth before the disciples the understanding of God's expectation with regards to our lives, the character and the makeup of disciples. I love you. Keep doing right by God, and God will continue to bless us. Thank you.